Hey, I think this is live. Is it? Maybe. Let me refresh my YouTube. Hi, Kilara. How are you? I am messed up after that Dateline episode. My goodness, that was something else. All right, I guess this is all set. Facebook's open. I can see comments. All right, we're good. Oof. That was some rough times. Just let me post this on Facebook. Some people join us. I know it's late, but I could not go to sleep without talking about this. Oh, all right, there we go. Oh, all right. Hi, Jess. Oh, Jess, you missed the whole thing? Don't worry, it will be up. The Facebook group had some technical difficulties, but she's going to post the whole episode. It'll be up on the NBC website tomorrow, I believe, so you will be able to see it. Yeah, I learned a couple new things. Melanie Pulowski was, gee, not there. You weren't able to watch it yet. All right, I promise I will find a link for you guys to watch it tomorrow. You know it's going to be somewhere on the internet. I will find it. Hulu might have it. Amazon Prime maybe. If you don't subscribe to those, the Facebook group that I'm in will be posting the whole episode. The Reddit group is probably going to have some links to it. I will find it for you, and I'll absolutely get you a link for it. Okay. It's on at 10 Eastern, so it just finished. Yep. It did just finish. Now, I don't want to give you spoilers, but then again, there wasn't anything all that new, so it won't be too bad. It's not like she dropped, some major bombs. Oh, wait, there was one. Melanie Gibb has let the world know for the first time. Are you ready for this? Oprah Winfrey is the darkest spirit on the planet. That's what she started off with. So that got everyone on the right foot. ACM, Keith really softballed this interview. He did not ask her any tough questions. I was a little irritated with that because I'm like, let me at her. Let me ask her some questions, So that was a little irritating. Renee, we didn't really learn anything new. She repeated a lot of the stuff we've already heard her say. Oh, yeah, that's right. Nana, you're right. That was April Raymond, not Melanie. I'm very sorry for that. April Raymond said that Lori said that Oprah was the darkest spirit on the planet. Thank you for that correction. But, man, all right, so let's get into what she said. I took notes when I was trying to watch this. Well, in between texting Paul and screaming at him like, she did not just say that. I did manage to get some notes. All right, so Oprah is the darkest spirit on earth, which, oh my Lord. She repeated that Chad told her Tammy was going to die. We knew that. We knew that Lori and Tylee left Kauai in the spring. What I didn't know is that when Lori and Tylee left Kauai after staying with April Raymond, that they went to Houston and lived with Charles. I didn't know that she had gone back to Charles right after Kauai. So that was interesting and new. Hi, Veronica. Hi, Grillin' with Jay. That was a little kind of new because we knew that she was back in the States, but she had tried to reconcile with Charles. And Melanie says the reason for that was that she could make sure that she was still the beneficiary of the life insurance policy, which we knew. But to hear her lay it out that way, what I'm hearing from Melanie is, I know she thinks Charles is a zombie. I know the only way to fix a zombie is to kill him. And I know that she's wanting to make sure she gets the $1 million life insurance policy. That's not enough for her to call the police? Really? Can you explain that to me? If any of my friends told me a litany of facts like that, I would call the police right there. But Melanie didn't seem to think she needed to. All right. Okay, Mel. Let's see. Then she leaves Charles again and goes to Phoenix to be near Melanie. Lori called Melanie to tell her that Charles was shot. Okay, Melanie, we knew this. Melanie found out about Charles being shot because Lori called her. She didn't see it on the news or anything. And even at that point, Melanie was like, yeah, well, that's terrible. Too bad. Still doesn't call the police. Now, jumping ahead in the episode, but here in the story, Melanie says, now this kind of, I'm going to have to go back and double check that I really heard what I think she said. It sounded like Melanie said, when Keith was asking her about Charles's murder, that she says, well, I thought they were just going to say a prayer over him and then the evil spirit would leave and then he'd die, But about being shot, I didn't see that coming. And I'm like, what? What? She says that she thought they were just going to say a prayer over him to make the evil spirit leave and then he would die. And that would be perfectly fine with her. But she didn't think that they would go as far as to shoot him. This woman is crazy. She is absolutely crazy. That was a big statement right there. And I think it kind of, Keith certainly glossed over it because maybe he didn't know what to think of it, but that he should have dug into that one a little bit more. So, what else do we know? Chad told Melanie that Tammy was going to die. Yep, we knew that. Another thing. I didn't know this. After Tammy's funeral, Lori had Chad and his kids over to her townhome for cookies. And she told Melanie that Chad's kids loved her. Great. Nice. Make them some cookies. Yeah. Tell them you might kill them someday, but have some cookies. Oh, what else we learned? Keith asked her a very softball question. They were talking about the death of Alex. And Keith says, so you must wonder what happened that day. And Melanie's like, yeah, I wondered. And that's it. Then he cuts to the next one. I'm like, that's your question? And I think they were talking about Alex at that point. It may even have been Charles. But the questions were just very kind of namby-pamby questions. And most of her answers were exactly what we heard in the interview with Nate. Her demeanor was a little bit different. In this interview, she looked a little bit more confident, right? She was sitting up a little straighter, leaning forward, leaning into the conversation more than she did the first time, a lot. She was dressed in all black, which I thought was fitting. She's smiley. She smiles the whole time. She's very smiley. She's also very, very, very happy to be doing this interview. When you watch it, when you watch it, you'll see her. She is loving doing this interview. She is having a great time. It was a little disconcerting, Mindset Academy says, I'm sick to my stomach after this. Yeah, so am I. I was going to watch this, write down my notes, and go to bed and make a video in the morning. I'm actually so upset that I had to just come on and do a live because I was very upset by this interview. Because the level of dysfunction and delusion that we see is something you don't often see. A lot of us follow a lot of true crime cases, and we always see, the crazy criminals and murderers and stuff like that. But this is very different. This is very different. This is terrifying to me, looking at Melanie Gibb's demeanor, because it's so my Facebook is making too much noise. Let me turn that off. Sorry. Okay. This is more terrifying because she is so fully ensconced in this cult mythology. You can tell she has not let go of these beliefs. Okay. This is every cluster B personality disorder wrapped up in one person. This is not comorbidity. This is every morbidity. She's got them all. She has schizoaffective disorder. She's got narcissism. She's got borderline. She's got antisocial. You name it, this girl's got it. I mean, if you want to study psychology and you have to write a thesis, right, for your degree, there you go. Do it on Melanie Gibb's interviews. You've got everything covered. You will really have everything covered. She's smiling. Kirk, she's smiling because she's so happy to have the attention on her. She loves this. Remember, she was doing podcasts. She was an author. She went to all of Chad's speakings. She wanted a following. She wanted to be Chad, right? She wanted to be a spiritual guru. She's still trying to be that. Look at her letter on the Avow website. She is trying so hard to be the spiritual guru. And this interview, she was like, oh, yeah, I'm on TV. Mm-hmm. Hi. I mean, you just see it oozing off her. She's eating this up. Now, one of the most important or impactful moments of this entire interview is right at the end. He's talking to her, and he asks her what she thought or how she felt when they discovered the children's remains. And I'm like, oh, this will be good. And she goes, well, it became more real. And it was, I don't know, what do you say, heart-wrenching, maybe something, or disturbing? I don't know. All right. And she's totally unaffected. Zero affect. She has no emotional attachment to the discovery of the bodies. None. So much so that she can't even find a word to pretend that she has an emotional attachment to it. Okay, that is a level of psychopathology I don't think I've ever seen in person, not in person, but you know what I mean, in my lifetime. You thought Ted Bundy was a scary guy? Ted Bundy's got nothing on this woman. Okay, so that was really incredible. The duper's delight, absolutely. I can't believe it. I cannot believe how crazy she is. There was one point that was kind of funny, if you can look at her and think something's funny. She was saying how after the police contacted her, right, after they told the police that JJ was with her, the police contacted her and she finally talked to them. And she said, afterwards, I had to call Chad and Lori and I had to confront them as being potential killers, right? But I called them Corihor. Mm-hmm. And you watch her physical affect as she's saying that. She sits up straight. She gets this beam in her eye. She puffs out her chest a little bit. She's so proud that she called them and confronted them and called Chad and Lori a Corihor, which is a demon. It's a demon thing from the Bible, a very bad spirit thing, whatever. I don't even know exactly what it is. It's some biblical mythology thing. And she was so proud that she called them this. Like, I am such a badass. I called them a Corihor. Yes, I did. Who's a big girl, I could not believe what I was seeing. I really could not believe this. It's a level of crazy that I don't know. We do not often get to see this firsthand. So on one hand, I'm like, this is a solar eclipse type event because, I'm into astrophysics. It's like this ranks up there with that for me on a psychological scale. This is something anyone who's interested in psychology or criminal psychology, you have to watch this. That's how crazy it is. My daughter is currently studying psychology in college. I'm going to have her watch this because here you go, It's not biblical mythology. He's a character. Oh, okay. He's a character in the Book of Mormon. All right. I've never heard of a Corihor before. So I was like, what? And she said it was some whatever. But if that makes sense, why I've never heard of it if it's in the Book of Mormon. All right. If the bad guy in the fiction. All right. Okay. Now we know what or who Corihor is. Oh, Squaling says it's directly referred to in the Book of Mormon as the Antichrist. Oh, that's right. She said that. Oh, I forgot. See, my brain is scrambled after watching that. She did say the Corihor was an Antichrist. And she was so proud of herself for calling him that. So proud. I think that was a lie. She never would have spoken out against. Well, anyway, Lisa, she probably was. That probably was a lie. I didn't even think of that. See, here I am even assuming that even that was the truth. That's probably not even the truth. Yeah, very interesting. But what we see now, okay, David Warwick, we did see an interesting thing from him. My notes are pretty disjointed here because I was typing like crazy. David Warwick is on. Now remember, David Warwick is Melanie Gibb's boyfriend, the guy that she left her husband and kids for, and he looks like a pretty decent stand-up kind of guy, but you have to remember that David is just as deep into this stuff as they are. He's got podcasts, and I think he has a book or two, or he does the whole circuit, the talk circuit for this crazy thing. All right, so he's just as in it as they are. And he says, he's describing the morning when they woke up and they're like, "Where's JJ?" And Lori tells the story about JJ crawling on the cabinets and crawling up towards the ceiling and knocking the picture of Jesus off the fridge. And David says, "Well, I looked around and I didn't see any evidence of that. I didn't see any damage or anything. I didn't see anything out of place. So I looked at Lori and I said, I want to see JJ. But JJ said that he was with Alex." And then they cut. They just stopped talking to him. Like, you got to follow that up with more questions, Keith. Come on. I wish I could have been there with Keith. So I'm like, Keith, let me ask him some questions. I got more questions, a lot more. Like, if you demanded to see JJ and she said, "Oh, he's over at Alex's," why did you not walk down to Alex's and knock on the door to see JJ? Why didn't you say, "Call Alex and tell him to bring JJ over here right now, or I'm calling the police"? Why didn't you say anything like that? Just, "Oh, okay, he's with Alex. Okay, everything makes sense now. Everything is good." It's just, these people. And then I was already riled up today from Summer Shifty's statement. That statement kind of got me a little riled up. And then to go into this interview, I knew this interview was going to be challenging to get through because it's Melanie Gibb. But I can't overstate the level of you can physically see the psychological issues in her affect. Does that make sense? Normally you can look at someone and you can say, "Oh, they're happy or sad." You can look at her and go, "Oh, there's zero empathy in this woman. She has zero ability to empathize with anything but herself." We've seen that before. You can physically see it on her. And you didn't see that so much in the first interview with Nate. I think she was very guarded, right? She was very aware of her body language in that interview. In this one, she felt more relaxed. She was much more confident. So all of those things shone through in ways that we didn't see the first time. So that was fascinating. Right? Kilara says, all of these people seem like they're trying for redemption arc, but they don't actually want to reckon or exactly. They all want this big, spiritual redemption thing from the public and from God or Jesus, whatever, but they don't want to accept it. Like what I said, I don't remember where I said this last night. If it was on here or with Paul. I think it was with Paul. One thing that none of them understand, and this is something that even Jesus himself talked about when he was talking to Simon the Zealot. Power equals responsibility in all things, in every aspect of your life. And for these people, if they want the power of redemption, the only way to that is through the pain of responsibility. They need to own up to what they are responsible for before they are ever going to find redemption from anyone, let alone from their Savior. So, and you can look at that in a very spiritual way or even a very practical way. Power equals responsibility. If you want power over your job, you take more responsibility for it. You want power over your finances, you spend responsibly. It's a very simple concept. This is something these people never understand. They think all I have to do is make a sappy enough statement and everyone will love me. Yes, I'm doing a bad thing. I'm very sorry. I'm stressed. Look how awesome we are now because we learned a lesson from this. Please don't point out how we contributed to and were complicit in these murders. Exactly. Absolutely. And Summer's statement today was the epitome of that mindset. You know, she was just, oh, man. How do you join my private chats? I don't have, well, private chats would maybe be my Patreon or Discord channel, but those aren't private. Anyone can come to my Discord channel. I talk there all the time. Get you a link. Let me find my links to Discord. Yeah, I didn't even bother to set up a description for this video yet. I'll do that later. I just had to come on right away. I am messed up after this interview. Right, there's a link to Discord that's free for anyone to join. We talk about this all the time. Let me catch up on some comments. There's some good things scrolling by here on the screen. Oh, Amy Gibbs. Couldn't stand the pensive shot of her in the vineyard. Oh, that was so fake. And the way she was walking and looking up at the tree and turning. Oh, God, that was so gross. That was so fake. It wasn't even funny. Absolutely agree with you. I felt a little icky after watching that. I was like, ugh. Let's see. So many fell short in helping these kids. Grammy, absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons why I can't muster any sympathy for some of these family statements, like Summer's statement, the Cox family statement, the Daybell family statement. I can't feel really bad for them. I try because it's the nice, compassionate, empathetic thing to do. But I'm so angry at them because they all let it happen. You know, even Summer. I'm sure that Summer is feeling some really terrible things right now, and she's going through something awful. But she went on TV. She slandered or whatever it is when you say it in public, you know, when you say it, slandered or libeled or whatever. She threw Kay under the bus. She said all this was something to do with it. She pinned it on Kay on national TV. That was horrible. And she didn't do anything to stop it. You know, Melanie Gibb. Obviously, after watching all of Melanie's interviews and even seeing David in there, they knew exactly what happened. Melanie knew before anyone died except Joe, but before Charles and anyone after that died, Melanie knew all of it. She could have prevented 5 deaths. And she didn't. You know what I mean? So, does that make me a little cold towards the people in the know? Absolutely. I can't help it. You know, and watching her on TV with her smile and her little saunter through the vineyard, la, la, la. I'm like, you let 5 people die. Why do you think you're some kind of movie star? And Keith Morrison, I don't want to say anything bad about Keith, but boy, either he was smitten with her or they cut out all the good stuff because she didn't agree to it. That's possible. But the questions that we saw were very, very softball. And their statements are always making themselves... Absolutely. Juan Sem says all their statements make themselves a kind of victim. Oh, my goodness. Every single one of them. I was deceived. I'm in so much pain. I prayed for the first responders. I'm so sorry I was deceived. But that's me, 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 me. None of these statements start out with JJ and Tylee. They start out with, I'm devastated. Here's what I'm doing. Summer was talking about she prayed for the first responders. Why was if you're so religious, your first instinct should be saying a prayer for JJ and Tylee for their spirits to pass peacefully to heaven. But she wants to tell us a story about praying for the first responders. Because why? Because that will bolster how she appears to the public. She's such a good person. Her first thought was for the first responders, not even herself. Oh, what a sweetheart. Bollocks. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. She is not a sweetheart. Such a victim. Maybe there are things she can't answer because of the criminal case. Chatty Cathy. I'm sorry, I keep calling her Chatty Cathy. I would have thought that, But even the answers she gave to the questions that they did ask were so crazy that I'm not sure that's the case. I don't know. But he could have asked her he could have pressed her on some of the questions for a more reasonable answer, but he did. He was like, oh, okay, move on. Or maybe they just edited it. It was heavily edited. When you watch it, you can see there's some cuts where you can see she was about to say another word, or you can hear it, and they just cut it right there. So that was very heavily edited. Maybe that was part of the agreement. She said she would have the right to decide what had to be cut out or something. Who knows? She should be talking. She shouldn't be talking in the first place on television. Yep, I agree. She shouldn't, which makes me think, does she have some kind of immunity deal? Or is she just that deluded where she honestly doesn't think she did anything wrong? So, who knows? She is a spokesperson for the cult. Yes, she is. And I think it almost seems like, no, this is a crazy thing to say, and this is, of course, speculation, casual chat time, the disclaimer. But it's almost like she's kind of glad Chad and Lori are away because now she can have all the glory and the fame. There's nobody in her way anymore. Now she's the top dog. Like, she was the closest. How many times in these interviews does she say that she was the closest to Chad and Lori, right? So maybe she thinks now that they're going to be in jail, she can have all their followers, because that's what she wants. She even says that in her letter to Avow. That's what she wants. So of course she's all happy and smiley. This is her winning the lottery as far as she's concerned. Hi, Drowsy Doll. How are you doing? At least Nate asked her when she heard Lori call the kids zombies. Didn't she worry about that? Yep, Nate did ask her that. He definitely did. This is a wacky story. If it wasn't true, it would be a poorly written. Yeah, Tina, that is true. If somebody presented a movie producer with a script, they'd be like, no, that's too crazy. We're not making that movie. Go do something else. Make something more realistic, Oh. Amy just retracted a comment that I was going to read because it was really good. Put that back, Amy. That was good. I think she milked her relationships with Lori on purpose. Yep. I do too. She was all about this podcast they were doing. She was all about the books and going to all of these great meetups. And she was very much about being a gatherer. She loved the idea of being a gatherer. So, but I think she was trying to ride on Chad's coattails or maybe soak up some of his fame for herself. But now he's in jail, so she can have it all. They didn't even bring up the attempt. Yeah, they didn't touch on the attempt on Brandon at all. And she did say she doesn't have a lawyer, but if she doesn't have a lawyer, then she's even dumber than we think she is. But, at this point, it's hard to be shocked by anything, isn't it? What about Jason Mao? Oh, yeah. Jason Mao was in a movie called, remember the name of it? I don't remember what the name of the movie is. A really crazy movie about zombie children and religious extremist type stuff. Very much like some of the things we hear from Chad and Lori. I don't talk about Jason Mao because, how do I want to put this? I don't want to talk about Jason Mao because that is one level of attention that I do not want. Okay, if you've done any research on Jason Mao, you'll understand that. So let's just leave him alone. Yeah. Maybe once he's behind bars, we'll talk about him. But yeah. Anyway, moving on from him. There's a lot of research on him. Please Google him. He is interesting. That's all I'm going to say about that. Hi, Jason. How you doing, buddy? Melanie is just as responsible as Lori, Chad, and Alex. Absolutely. Absolutely, she is. I agree with you 100%. Because she knew, it's very clear from what she said, she knew everything. Jason, my goodness, Melanie and David were at Lori's house. They were spending the night at Lori's home the night that JJ was murdered. Whether he was murdered that night or early the next morning, whatever, over that time period, they were in Lori's home. Now, I'm not saying anybody killed JJ right in the home. We don't know. That's possible. But we don't know how or where exactly JJ was killed or who. But Melanie and David were right there. They knew about the zombie beliefs. They knew about how to take care of a zombie. JJ disappears. Don't tell me they didn't know. Come on. That's not even possible. Inaction does not equal innocent. I agree. There's something called the duty of care laws. I don't know exactly how they can be applied. Maybe they can be applied in this case. I don't know. I have no idea. I really hope that they can get Melanie on something. I know. If I was, a prosecutor, I'd be looking for anything I could possibly charge her with just to hold her responsible for her lack of action. Lisa, that's a thought that I can't let myself think right now. It's possible. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility with these people. I don't want to think that. That's a little scary. We do know that, now see, this is a conflicting thing. One thing that we thought, or I thought, or was told, was that Chad had flown to, I think, Utah or Arizona for one of these book club meetup things on the 19th. But Melanie says that there was one of these meetups right there in Rexburg during the visit, and that's why they were in Rexburg staying with Lori, was to go to this, and they went there with Chad and Lori, and they walked around the BYU track. So that could just be a miscommunication somewhere in all the facts of this, but Chad was there with them doing all this stuff. So now, one thing we don't know, and this is a curious thing not to know, Keith, in the interviews, seemed to point out that Chad was living at that apartment with Lori, and he only moved back to his home, the one that we saw in the search, after Lori had been arrested. So that's interesting. That's something I don't have the facts on. Where was Chad living? Was he actually living with Lori in that apartment? Was he still living at his house? We know that Lori was not living at his house. So was he living with her? But does that mean that on that night, Chad was in Lori's apartment with her? When Melanie and David were there? When JJ was disappeared? That would change my opinion about things a little bit if I knew that Chad was in that apartment that night. Hi, Stormy. How are you doing? It's nice to see you. Hi, Lauren Reed. Very nice to see you. Hi, Liz, Hillary, Grammy, Gulf Coast Girl. Hi, I'm sorry I didn't say hi to you. I saw you earlier. Ciceroos, how are you doing? Nice to see you again. Joseph Johnson, welcome back. Grace Ruth. Oh, man, guys. I am messed up over this case. Oh. Paramjit, I think I'm saying that right. I hope I am. Please forgive me if I'm not. Probably has bipolar mental case. I don't think this is a case of that at all. This is not I think this is more, we're talking the cluster B, the personality disorders, not a physiological disorder. She's got all of them. She is a psychopath or a sociopath, depending on which way you want to look at that. There's still a lot of debate about the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. But a sociopath can embody all of the different cluster B personality disorders. They're not exclusive. So you can be a narcissist and a sociopath, even though those two almost always go hand in hand. But you can be borderline, you can be antisocial and a sociopath. So I'm pretty sure she's got all of them. I do not have a psychology degree to I can diagnose her, but it's there. Yeah, BYU Idaho is the university where they walked around the track where Lori said Tylee was attending, but she obviously wasn't. Man, oh man. Grace says, surely the FBI is watching her interviews. Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure they were taking more notes than I was. Plus, they probably got all the cut footage that we didn't get to see. That's not fair. Oh. I think Chad and Lori are in jail, but their cult is still active. D. Hutchinson, I agree with you that their cult is still active, because from everything that we can hear from Melanie, she's still very much in that belief system. As much as she claims to have had, this enlightening revelation and, she's back to Jesus now. No, she's not. Excuse me. Hiccups. Yeah, she can't pretend to be naive and know everything if it's a contradiction, says Amy Gibbs. Absolutely. Wouldn't most parents visit their kid if on the campus? Paula, I would. If I was walking around a track at a university that my daughter was attending, I'd try to find her and be like, hey, let's meet for lunch. I'd send her a text or something. Come out to the quad. Let's say hi, The book, The Sociopath Next Door, talks about how they can be born murderers. I'll have to look that up. I haven't read that. Sounds good. Weird that they either killed or attempted to kill the only people who had jobs. You know what, Renee? I hadn't thought of that before. Very interesting. They attempted to kill the people who had the biggest life insurance policies. Maybe then they didn't need jobs as long as they kept doing that scam. Hey, when we have Jersey girls in the house. I don't know what that means. Is that good? Bad? I don't know. Welcome, Jersey girls. Okay, so that's a good thing? All right, good. Welcome. I don't know. I'm not up on hip stuff like that. Last night I used the term stan for the first time and turned out it meant an obsessive, crazed fan. I was like, no, wait, I'm not a stan. I take it back. Gotta brush up on this stuff before I go saying it. I wish Melanie would have been more aggressive regarding her gut approach to Lori when the weekend. Yeah, Sister, I agree. She should have been, and that's one thing that I find so frustrating about even covering this case is I have a lot to say about Melanie Gibb, and I haven't really held back too much about what I think about her. And I do get a lot of feedback about that, saying, you are so mean to her. She did the right thing, she came forward. And I'm like, okay, you're right. She did go forward. She did talk to the police. She probably gave them a lot of information that they needed, but she didn't come forward when it would have meant anything. She could have come forward. I know, sister. I know that you don't think I mean, and I appreciate that. Thank you. A lot of other people do, though. I don't know why. Maybe I am mean. But if Melanie Gibb had come forward when they told her Charles was a zombie, all the rest of them would probably still be alive. All of them, even Alex. So the fact that she came forward only when physically confronted by the police, that was the only time she started talking. When they showed up to be like, yo, get over here, we gotta talk, then she got scared and talked. If the police hadn't done that, if Lori hadn't set up the lie that JJ was at Melanie's house, which required the police to go find Melanie, she probably wouldn't have said a dang thing ever. You know what I mean? So, right, Amy, she didn't come forward when it was the right thing to do. She only came forward when she got scared enough to think she needed to cover her own butt. And everything that she has said so far tells us that she believed this zombie story. She genuinely believed that the only way to fix these people that were zombies was to kill them. So imagine you're Lori and Melanie's at your house, and you know that Melanie believes this zombie thing. And if you're telling her JJ's a zombie, you know she's going to believe it. And she knows the only way to fix JJ's spirit and save it from limbo is to kill the body. Why wouldn't she go along with it? Is it really a stretch to think that Melanie knew this was happening while she was there? Not at all. It is not a stretch at all. Melanie, she's probably already writing it. Shan, I'm sure she is. If she hasn't, already started hitting the publishing button. So, She believed you could kill zombies by praying to a portal in a closet. Wagstaff, that's actually a really good comment. She did hit on this in the interview. I should be fair and say they were talking about Charles, right? And Keith was asking her, what did you think about, Charles being a zombie and then when he was killed? She said, well, I figured that they would say a prayer over him or something, and that would get rid of the bad spirit, and then he'd just die. But asked about the shootings, like, I didn't see that coming. So she was perfectly content with the thought that they could pray over him and kill him that way, but she didn't like the shooting so much. What? Oh, man. To see, her thinking is so screwed up that I don't think she's ever really going to come out of this. We talked the other day about cults and deprogramming and the psychological process of that, and it is very difficult. It is not easy to deprogram someone from a cult. But I don't think she can get there. I honestly don't. I think if she tried to go through the deprogramming process, she would have a psychological break and not one that she'd recover from. So, that's what I think about her. I am really angry, though. Hold on. So I'm getting a wet face cloth. My air conditioner died today, and it's 100 degrees here in Texas, and it is almost 100 degrees in my apartment. So I have a bowl of ice water and a face cloth next to me, and I just keep wiping myself down, sitting in front of fans, because I think I'm going to die. It's so hot in here. Yeah, you can't deprogram while still involved in giving interest. Obviously not. She is not seeking psychological help at this time, because any psychologist worth their salt would be like, get your butt off the television and stop talking. But what is she doing? She's quoting scripture all over the avow forums and telling people she understands it was her prepper pride that made her do bad things. So yeah, that what it means is she is so lost in an endless spiral of magical thinking that I don't think she's going to get out of it. Facial spray in the fridge. Oh, Jess, what a great idea. I'm totally going to do that. Got that nice, whoever that guy was, the rose one. That would be great in the fridge. Good thinking. She needs to have a psychological break. She needs to, yeah, Lisa, she does. She needs someone to bring her to that point where she can step back from all of the magical thinking and really see in a realistic way what she has done. Right? She really does. But I don't know if she can get there. If someone did push her to that point right now, when I say psychological break, I mean a non-recoverable one. She would end up being a babbling pile of goo in the corner of a room for the rest of her life. You can have a psychological break that strong where you don't come back from it. So she needs someone who can guide her through the process, slowly but surely. But I don't think she thinks you have to think you have a problem to seek that out. She doesn't think she has a problem. And if she did think she had a problem, she would turn to religion to solve it because she thinks that's the answer to all of her things. Don't you think Melanie G should have to get counseling? Absolutely. If is there a legal process which you can have someone who has these cult-like beliefs brought in for a psych eval against their will? Who could do that? It would have to be one of her children, maybe. Her ex-husband, assuming they're divorced. They might not even be divorced. David, maybe. I don't think you can do that, unless they appear to be a harm to themselves or to others, which that would be hard to prove, even though, look how many people around her have died, But if she does get charges, though, if they charge her with something, that could be part of the sentence, maybe. So I don't know. You can tell she was taught by Lori by the way she's acting, trying to pretend all innocent. Yeah, she definitely needs to seek help, but she won't. Yep, Lori did beat her psych eval. Lori did go for psych eval. When Charles got that order for her to be held on a psych eval, for a psych eval, she actually went to it. Excuse me. She went for the psych eval. She sat down and talked to him, and she passed with flying colors, she told Melanie. So, but do we think she went in there and told them all her crazy beliefs? No, because she was cognizant enough of reality to say, these people won't believe that. So I'm just going to be like, haha, everything's fine, and play it off. Lori was able to play it off like that to pass the psych eval, which means it wasn't a very good psych eval. They should be able to see through those kinds of things. So, does anyone in this so-called cult have a 9-to-5 job? I don't think so, Laura Wayne Scott. I think they're all these spirit guru authors. They write about their near-death experiences. They do podcasts. Well, I don't know if they do them anymore. All of their podcasts were hosted by the Preparing a People group. And since this news broke and this case got national attention, Preparing a People took all their stuff down and said they aren't working with them anymore. So I don't know. I haven't checked Preparing a People to see if like Eric Smith's stuff's there and Julie Rowe and all of those, but Jason Mao was really big on that. He had the Warrior Up thing. So I just haven't checked to see if any of them are still working on that. Borderline histrionic. Leanna, no, please read my question. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I missed it. Leanne says, first, I totally agree with you, but is it possible that since the police dismissed Charles's claims, that she felt they would not believe her, and then she would be next? Is it possible that since the police dismissed Charles's claims, that she felt they wouldn't believe her and she would be next? Who would be next? Lori? I'm sorry, I'm confused. I've had a long day. It's very hot in here. My brain is melted. If you could clarify, I would be more than happy to answer that. I'm just not sure who the she is in that question. Melanie. Oh, all right. That makes sense. Yeah. So, Leanne's asking is it possible that since the police dismissed Charles's claims about how crazy Lori was, that Melanie felt that they wouldn't believe her, and then Lori would go after her? It's possible, and I would totally go with that 100%. Had it not been for some of the things Melanie herself has said about like the zombies and explaining how the zombie thing works. She explains it in such a way that belies her absolute belief in it. You see, so I would totally go with that, Leanne, until hearing Melanie talk about the crazy stuff to the point where she believes it completely. Hi, SMH9000. How are you? SMH9000 says, but that was not a psych eval. Right, it wasn't technically a psych eval. She sat down and did an interview, and they let her go. Wasn't it just like, what was it, 45 minutes or something? I can't remember. I think Melanie says how long it was. But it's not like she was in there for 72 hours. She was in there to sit down at somebody's desk and talk to them for an hour or so, and then they let her go. So that's not a formal psych eval. But for some reason, I would like to think, I've always believed that if I call the police and say, my husband has had a psychotic break, he thinks he's some god and he's going to kill me with his god powers, and I'm very scared, can you please pick him up for a psych hold, that they have to hold you for 72 hours, especially if there's a threat of violence. No? But they didn't do that here. Why? Hey, Andrew, how are you doing? Chinless Chad, as we call him, Spud Dumbbell. The 5150. They laughed. All right, if you look in some of my earlier videos, or just go to East Idaho News, they've put up some extra videos of Charles talking to the police. Today we had Charles' 911 calls. Now, Charles called 911 while Lori was in the interview room with the police officers and told them, hey, you're supposed to be picking her up for this psych hold. She's there in the police department right now. Will you please keep her? I'm on my way with the order. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we'll have someone call you. Bye. Totally dismissive of this. Did not take him seriously. Did not listen to him. The police that he talked to in person outside the hotel They didn't listen to him. They're like, yeah, okay, buddy, stop stalking your wife, was kind of the attitude I got from them. Nobody listened to Charles. Gulf Coast Girl. Anyone, I have a question. How do we really know it was Alex when Lori said to have all these phones? How do we know the ping from Alex's phone at Chad's was actually Alex? We don't. All right. We kind of do, because if that was Lori with Alex's phone, when you follow the movements of the phone from Lori's apartment to Alex's apartment to Lori's and back and forth, that kind of makes it look like it was really Alex. But certainly at some point, they could have swapped phones and she took his phone or she grabbed out of his pocket. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. We don't know, just because Alex's phone pinged in Chad's yard, that was physically Alex and not somebody with his phone. It stands to reason that it was him, but again, that's supposition. However, they may know if they have Lori's phone pinging somewhere else and Chad's phone pinging, and they've got all the phone pings, then one of them would have to be Alex. Maybe they know that way. I really want them to release all this information so we can just pour through all these little facts. I hope there's a lawsuit filed against the police department. Lisa, they dropped the ball pretty hardcore. Poor Charles was betrayed by everyone he thought could help him. Yes, he was. Remind me of the OJ case where Cole Brown specifically said he's going to kill me and get away with it. Yep. Yeah, and that's a problem, because now I don't want to defend the actions of the police department, but if you could just say to the police, they said they're going to kill me, and then they pick that person up and lock him away for 2 or 3 days while they figure it out. Imagine how easily abused that would be. But on the other hand, in their concern not to have the system abused, they don't take legitimate claims seriously, and then we get people like Charles being dead. He did. He had texts. He had all kinds of stuff. Charles was not just making a random claim that she was crazy. He had texts. He had printouts of some emails or something. He handed them to the cop, and the cop was like, "Oh, I don't want to read handwritten stuff. What else you got?" Come on, man. We have the fact that Lori stole his truck from the airport. She canceled his flight. They didn't look at any of that. They just poo-pooed him away. So he had plenty of information to give the police to say, hey, look at all this stuff. He wasn't just saying, she said I'm crazy, come get her. Oh, no, he had receipts, and he handed those receipts to the cop. And the cop was like, it's handwritten, and folds it up and puts it in his pocket. He didn't even read it. So, and that one female cop was like, are you LDS? She's like, yeah. And he's telling her the stories of Lori's craziness directly pertaining to beliefs that she would understand. And she was like, you can't go in the hotel room, sir. That's not what we do. He's like, really? That's what you're worried about right now. Okay. All right. So yeah, those police officers that interacted with Charles absolutely let him down. And it's so hard to watch those videos, because you see his concern and his fear and his worry. And he keeps saying, that's my wife. I love her to death. She needs help. She needs help. She needs help. And they're like, yeah, okay, guy. They didn't, even when there was a child involved, a special needs child, no less, they didn't take it seriously. So, But they are one of the first people in a very long line of people that didn't do anything. And even Summer today, poor Summer, bless her heart, with her statement. All I can think when I read that is, Lori was your sister. Okay, I get that. I have a sister. Jess here in the chat, she's my other sister. If Jess told me one day, when I said, oh, hey, how are the kids doing? And she said, oh, they're fine. I'm like, oh, can I say hi? And she said, oh, well, no, he's at school. Oh, okay. That goes on for an extended period of time. I'm going to say, where are your children? Where are my nieces and nephew? Oh, well, they're out. No, that's not good enough. If my sister's kids, I couldn't talk to them for an extended period of time, I would be camping out at her house, shaking her by the shoulders. Where are those children? I wouldn't let it go. I would not let it go. Not for a second. I would be on her like every second of the day until I got the answers. And maybe even if someone wouldn't do that, they'd at least be concerned. Oh, what happened to chat? I missed that. Is Lisa okay? If you timed her up from talking in all caps, please don't, because some people type in all caps because they can't see lowercase. All right, so if that was that, then we'll undo that. But I didn't see what she was saying, so I trust the mods. Do you think Lori physically participated in the murders? I'm not sure. I really have gone back and forth between Lori, Chad, Alex, Melanie, and David even. I don't think any of them are beyond having physical involvement in the murders. Okay, I'll say that. I think any of them could have been physically. Okay, Aaron, or Andrew, thank you. That's fine. I don't think Lori would have not done it herself if she had to. Okay, but I'm really kind of leaning towards Alex did it. Yeah, go ahead. Take it off. I'm leaning towards Alex did the dirty work, possibly Chad. And especially now with the revelation that Chad may have been in that apartment too that night. Yeah, that makes me think a lot more that Alex and Chad together might have done the dirty work, so to speak. So, did Alex's phone ping in the spot of JJ? Yes, it did. Alex's phone pinged on the 23rd of September by the tree by the pond, and he was there for 17 minutes. So that's a whole nother issue, because the way that JJ was buried would have taken longer than 17 minutes without a lot of pre-planning, unless Alex just dropped the body off and Chad did all the work. We don't know that yet. So I really want to see Chad's phone pings. That would make me very happy. Tiffany says that the only one thing that gets me, none of the family members making noise about the kids. Yeah, that really gets me, because if that was my nieces or nephews or my brother and sister, or I would be screaming bloody murder from the rooftops until I found those children or somebody talked. I wouldn't just be like, oh well, let me know if they turn up, gotta go. No, man, you don't do that. Liz says they've been planning it since the beginning of the year. I don't want to think that they were planning it, but it really looks like it. Stella, maybe Chad predicted. That's what I was thinking too. We all know Chad was a gravedigger. He did work at a cemetery as a gravedigger. It's quite possible that he had that ready to go, and he was just waiting for Alex to show up. Yep, Andrew, the only people in the entire family and extended family that acted were Kay and Larry Woodcock, JJ's biological grandparents. If they had, and even Keith says this in the interview tonight, if they hadn't called the police to get a wellness check on JJ, would we even have discovered any of this at this point? Could Lori and Chad have snowed everyone around them to think, oh, the kids are fine, they're away at school for 6 months, for a year, for 2 years, until they finally just stopped asking and gave up? Would anyone else have made that call if Kay and Larry did not? What do you guys think? Honestly, I think they could have gotten away with it. We may have seen Adam Cox, Adam's son Zach. They seem to be pretty good people. Maybe they would have eventually, if they even had known So they're missing. Hi, Linda. Good night. Oh, you didn't get a notification. Aw, that's too bad. But you're here now. Gulf Coast Girl says, I'm a grandmother, and let me tell you, I am going to know where my grandchildren are. And if something doesn't sound right, I'm going to call someone. Exactly. My mother, I live 2,000 miles away from my mother, right? And I have to call her every Sunday, at least every Sunday. This is the deal. And if I call her 2 or 3 Sundays in a row without the kids calling her or saying hi, where are the kids? They're right here. Put them on the phone. Like, mother, they're fine, you know? My own mother checks on her grandchildren constantly because that's what you do. You know, that's what you do. Let's talk about Zach Cox for a second. I like Zach Cox a lot. I really do. I've been following some of his posts for a while. I like the things he talks about, even not related to the case. I like his philosophies and that. I get down with this guy. He's a good guy. Zach Cox is Adam Cox's son, so he is Lori's nephew. Right now, the other day when Dateline announced that Melanie Gibb was going to be in this interview, let me tell you exactly what he said because it was quite fascinating. Give me 1 second just to scroll up to it. He was talking about Melanie. Oh, wait, that's not on Twitter. That's on Facebook. I don't have Facebook open. Anyway, he basically said he saw that the he saw the teaser for the Dateline episode, and he posted that and said, Melanie is a liar. He said something like she knew exactly what happened to the kids or something like that. He called that straight out. He was like, nope, this woman's a liar. She knows everything. Don't believe this nonsense. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me to tell you exactly what he said. But that's what he said about the interview for Dateline. Okay. And that was Melanie Gibb. Today he talked about when Summer posted her thing, her happy little statement. He tweeted, she still believes that Alex was a hero for killing Charles and that Charles was there the day at Lori's with bad intentions. Take this apology however you want with this information. So Zach Cox is taking no prisoners. He is like, He's like, these people are nuts. And he's calling it straight out. Imagine if everyone in that family was like that. This wouldn't have happened. Oh, what are you eating? You have a snack? Looks like avocado. My husband comes through with a plate, and I'm looking at it from afar, and it looks like brownies or something. I'm like, oh, we got brownies. And he puts the plate down. It's an avocado. I'm like, oh, man, that's psychological torture. I'm calling the police or something. Jess, call the police. Sneaking in with avocado. It's not fair. But yeah, Zach Cox is great. He is he's being honest, and he's calling it like he sees it. So you can follow him on Twitter. It's Zach Cox, Z-A-C. He does not have a K on his name. C-O-X. He's on Twitter and Facebook, and he does post quite a bit. So there you go. I did reply to Zach's tweet today, and I said, in regards to Summer's statement, I said, I found her statement to be sanctimonious and self-righteous, lacking in any meaningful, sincere apology. This was the woman who was on live TV blaming things on Kay Woodcock not that long ago. Her words are so very hollow. And Zach Cox liked my tweet. I don't know. I was like, oh my God, Zach Cox liked my tweet. But that's exactly what I think of her statement. Jewett asks your thoughts that Melanie P's kid had a watch with GPS, so she knew where he was. Also, Brandon, but sends Melanie G on a wild goose chase. Was that to get her out of the way or what? I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. That could be something I haven't heard of yet, so I can't say what I think, but I would like to know more. So I'll have to look that up. You're welcome, Lisa. Eamon tells it. I do tend to tell it like I see it. I don't suffer certain things gladly. I'm not going to say fools, because fools are kind of fun. I don't have a problem with people just being, a little foolish. I don't like gaslighting. You know my history with narcissism. When I feel like someone's gaslighting me, like Melanie effing Gibb, that gets my back up pretty fast. I do not like that. So that's what I feel that we saw from Melanie Gibb in all of her interviews. Gaslighting, gaslighting. And that's what I felt from Summer's statement and the Cox family statement and Emma Daybell and Janice Cox. All of these people. It's just gaslighting. Don't believe what you see with your own eyes. Believe the words I'm telling you right now. And then they use scripture and they use Jesus to try and prove their point. How low can you sink? How low can you sink? So that's how I feel about that. Gulf, I know about a case. Would like you to check out. How can I contact you? Gulf Coast Girl, in not this video because I haven't done it yet, but all of my videos. There's my Twitter link, Facebook, Discord, email. My email is awinreesepodcast@gmail.com. My Twitter is @awinreese. My Facebook is Facebook/awinreese. So, I don't hide too much on social media. You can find me pretty easy. You can reach me at any of those places. And of course, Discord. If you're in Discord, I'm all over Discord. So, what did y'all think of David? Oh, man. David Warwick. When I first saw him, I'm like, oh, he looks kind of like a sensible sort. Maybe he's going to be the voice of reason, finally. Until I Googled him. And when I Googled him, where did I find him? All over Preparing a People. All over this book tour stuff, this podcast stuff. I was like, oh, good grief. He's just another one of them. So that's what I think of David. I thought his statement tonight about after he got the story from Lori about JJ climbing on the cabinets, when he said, he told Lori, I want to see JJ right now. And then he said, well, Lori said, oh, well, he's with Alex. And then they just cut the interview. I really wanted to see the next question of, what did you do then? Did you just let it go? Oh, okay, Lori, he's with Alex. All right, no big deal. Or did you follow through? Did you go see him and Alex? But he didn't follow through with that question. So I think David either knew as much as everyone else or, went along with it or something. But once again, David could have called the police right there. If he's standing there asking Lori that he wants to see JJ right then because he's suspicious enough as it is, call the flipping police department. Just call them. And if you're wrong, oh well, you're wrong. You wasted a little bit of police time, but at least they came and checked it out. It's better to err on the side of caution. But none of them had the guts to do that. So, I think Chad had visions after getting smacked in the dome piece on his own surfboard. It's possible. Andrew, we know that damage to your head can cause frontal lobe abnormalities, which can cause schizoaffective disorder, which can absolutely cause delusions. So maybe he hit his head real hard. Who knows? It's possible. Jess says, I wish someone would just tell a good story about JJ and Tylee. See, Jess, exactly. When Summer said in her statement, we have so many great stories about JJ and Tylee to share. But back to me and my victimhood, let's talk about that. It's like, just make a post sharing those stories. Share that piece of JJ and Tylee with everyone. Let us get to know them that way. Let us fall in love with them that way too. That's how you honor them. You don't just cry and whine because people are mean to you. And that's what these people think. Thank you, Aaron, for speaking up about narcissism. Oh, you're welcome, Crystal. Crystal, I don't know if you're new around here. One thing I do, the reason I started this channel was to talk about narcissism. I have a podcast called ToxicBliss, which is the term I use to describe my relationship with a malignant narcissist, because it was toxic, but I thought I was in a state of bliss until I finally woke up. So narcissism is my thing, and that's what I was going to do on this channel until this case came and smacked me upside the head. So that's what I'm doing now. Andrew is drinking their Kool-Aid. Andrew, stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Oh, that's not good for you. He's seeing the light. He's joining the cult. Intervention time. Mods, get him. Get Andrew. Somebody throw a rope and pull him back in. Come back to the dark side, Andrew. Oh, we have cookies and they're better than Lori's. Don't you dare, Awen, if we have to hear another shrink talk about a psycho with a dent in his head. Yeah. If any of you followed the Tim Jones Jr. trial, oh my word, that was a painful trial, talking about the dents in his head and the schizoaffective disorder. Oh my goodness, we were all a little affected after that trial for sure. Hey, Feeding It, how are you doing? Even Colby seemed to jump on Where Are They bandwagon. Yep. He was... See, Colby's reaction... A lot of people come down on Colby pretty hard. But we also have to remember that he was Lori's son. That wasn't her sister or brothers, and that was her actual son, her firstborn son. All right? And from what he has said, he kind of put him through the ringer in his early life with her men and this, that, and the other thing. And you know what happens in a child in a relationship like that with a mother like Lori. That's not an easy position to be in. So I cut Colby a mountain of slack, and I feel so bad for him. But I'm very proud of him too, because he is building a life. He has a wife. He has a baby. He's trying to build a life out of the ashes that Lori left for him. So I like Colby. I do. He did pressure her about the kids. He made videos. He went on TV saying, "Mom, do the right thing." So I think he did what he could, the best under the circumstances with the mess that he was left to deal with. So I like Colby. Morrison is enamored with Gibb. Yeah, Jody, that's what I was saying. He really softballed her, and it seemed like she had wooed him a little bit. Like he was almost like, ooh, oh my good. Look at Shelly Tarbit. Shelly, I hope you can hear me. You are my very first ever in the history of my life super chat. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I forgot that I was monetized now and I can have those. Wow. All right. This is a monumental moment. My very first super chat. Woohoo. Thank you so much. You just made my night. Oh, that's fantastic. Tina says she married men, then divorced them a year later. It's called summary dissolution. She did it to extort money. Yeah. And the whole time she's doing that, Tina, she's got poor Colby tagging along. And he talks about his stepdads and stuff like that in some of his videos. He has a YouTube channel. I don't have the link for you right now, but I will put it. I think it's in some of the description of some of my videos, so you can find him. It's not called Colby Ryan, though. What is it called? CJ's Place. Let me get you the link while I'm on it before I forget. Is this him? Yes. All right, here's a link to Colby Ryan's YouTube. There you go. He's got some videos there talking to his mom, like, please come do the right thing. He had a video. He put up a video for JJ's birthday that made me cry. So yeah, go check out Colby. You can see what he's all about there. Who's Gibb? Melanie Gibb, Lori's best friend, I guess. Little cult sister person. Yeah. That's Melanie Gibb. Melanie Gibb did an interview tonight. Does anyone have a link to the video? I don't have a link to it yet, but the Facebook group that I'm in will be having the full video up soon. NBC, the website, should have it streaming on their website tomorrow. Usually it takes a day before they put it up. You could probably find it on Amazon Prime or Hulu if you have something like that. Surely someone's going to have it on YouTube tomorrow. I did record it, but I'm not going to put it on YouTube because I just got my channel going, and if I get a copyright strike, I would be really mad. So, yeah, I won't have it on my channel, but I will find you a link, and I will make sure the links are in the Discord server and in the description. I'll come back to this live and put a link in a pinned comment to this live stream. So as soon as I find it, you'll be able to watch the whole thing. You subscribe Brooke's channel. Brooke, you're subscribed to Colby yet? Brooke, you've been following this case since day one. What do you think of Melanie's interview tonight, Brooke? Did you see it? Hey, Rebel Rose, nice to see you. How are you doing? I hope you're good. Tina, I feel terrible for Colby. I do too, because I mean he lost his Joe Ryan, his adopted dad. I don't like to say adopted dad because if he adopted him, that's his dad. But just for the sake of clarity, I say adopted dad. So don't hate me for that. But he lost Joe, whether he liked Joe or not. I think there was some issues there. But he lost Joe. Then he loses Charles. Then he loses Tylee and JJ. And now his mom's in jail. And he lost his uncle Alex. And his mom is responsible for all of it. Can you imagine? I don't know how I would deal with that. I don't know how Colby is able to wake up every morning and build his life. So I'm proud of him for being able to do that. And I can't believe what he's going through. Poor Colby. Allie. I think that's Allie Slater. I don't know any brother or uncle that behaves in such a worshiping, subservient way as Alex. Yeah, absolutely. Alex was almost like a zombie. Okay, I did it. I called Alex a zombie. A zombie in how subservient he was to Lori. His entire life was for Lori. Period. Everything Alex did was for or about or because of Lori. So, yeah. He was a zombie in a more truer sense than Chad zombies. Kelly in Oregon says, there's been so many near misses with this case. Yep. And that's part, I think that's why I'm so angry when I hear from like Summer and Melanie. I'm so angry because, I mean, you can write a very long list of the people that could have stopped this at 100 points in the timeline, and none of them did. And that's what infuriates me. I would hope if anyone's in my family or like Jess, any of you guys, if my kids ever go missing or I stop talking about them, please call the police. Get on my butt about it. Don't just be like, oh, well, don't, get involved, make it messy, but make sure my kids are okay. Because that's what I would do. Those people are weird. Colby was brainwashed by his mom. Yeah, he was. Yes, he was. But I think he's been working out of that the past couple of years. Brooks channel says, I've got it recorded and plan on watching it. Oh, did you miss a lot? Brooks, you're going to love it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's definitely worth a watch. There's not a whole lot of new information. A few little tidbits here and there. A few little interesting things Melanie said. An appearance from David Warwick, which is interesting. But not a whole lot of news. But pay attention to Melanie's psychological affect. It was astounding. And then we'll get to talk about it. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. My fiance always says it freaks him out when I can literally tell who's full of crap just by watching interviews. Yep. Yes, so with that in mind, I really want to hear what you think of this interview. Oh. And Pandora's Carmen says, it's disturbing how dedicated Alec was to Lori. It is. It's not normal. It's not anywhere near normal. So, yeah. Kind of strange. Do narcs come from narc parents? Traditionally, a narcissist will raise a codependent as a child because that's how that relationship interfaces. But if a child has significant early childhood trauma as a result of a narcissistic parent, they can absolutely grow up to be a narcissist. So it really depends. That's more of a case-by-case kind of thing. But generally, if the parents are narcissistic, the children will have some problems, but they can usually come out of it without being a sociopath at the end, hopefully. Do you ever look up at the stars and you look down at your hands, you have a scary moment of existential clarity? Yeah, I do. I have moments like that. I study astrophysics, and I spend a lot of time looking up at the stars and envisioning the greater universe and all of that. And for me, that moment of existential clarity comes when I realize how tiny and insignificant I am in the greater universe. And that makes me catch my breath every single time. It's a very poignant experience. So yeah, I get that one. It has always amazed me that Alex was not arrested when he killed Charles. Yep, Carol, they didn't even look into it. They were just like, oh, okay, we'll take you at your word. It was self-defense. Bye. Have a nice time, dude. They didn't run his record. They didn't question all the kids. They just let it go. That's crazy. How could they just let that go? If they hadn't let it go, if they hadn't dropped the ball there again, it might have stopped, Jess says she thinks like that when she says, yep, the ocean is one of my power places. When I'm feeling really overwhelmed with the world, I just want to go sit at the ocean. I just do. Of course, now I live in North Texas, 1,000 miles away from the ocean. There is no ocean here, and I'm very unhappy being landlocked. I'm not used to this, so that's a problem. I need to move to the coast. Oh, let's see what else we got. Cops in Arizona know Jason now. Yep, there's that name again. I hope you guys don't think that I'm to use Denise's phrase, being a puss when I don't want to talk about Jason Mao. But if you look him up, he is one scary dude, and I don't want his name in my video episodes or get flagged somewhere so that he finds me or pays attention. Who's this person talking about me? That's not someone you want to be on their radar. Absolutely not. He is crazy in a very scary way. So yeah, I'm hoping they'll just arrest him and he'll be in jail. Then we can talk about him. I'll give you all the dirt. Until then, we'll have to talk about him on Reddit or something. Cheryl, you have 20 minutes to the episode. I think you'll like it. It's very interesting. And Brooke says, I also believe that Melanie Gibb knows everything. Yep. Absolutely. Brooks, here's a good question for you. In this episode that you're going to watch, Keith, through his questioning, seems to imply, it seems to be stated, I'm going to have to watch it again to get facts on this, but he seems to be saying that Chad was living with Lori in apartment 175 in Rexburg at the time the children went missing. Is that something you've heard before? That was new to me, that Chad might have been there in that apartment the night that JJ disappeared, the night that Tylee disappeared. I say disappeared because I just don't like saying the other word because it's still a little too fresh. But Brooke, did you know, or do you know, either way, if Chad was living there at that time? Because thinking that he was there, that changes how I'm seeing the whole mess. It really does. Nee, how can you watch the Dateline? You will be able to watch it on the internet tomorrow. The NBC.com website will most likely have it streaming. They usually put that up the next day. I think Hulu might have it, Amazon Prime. Somebody's bound to put it on YouTube. Wherever I can find it tomorrow when I wake up, I will put a link in the description or in the comments of this video. I'll make it a pinned comment. So check back here tomorrow, late morning, and if there's a link available, I will put it there so everyone can watch it. Let me scroll up. Did Brooks answer? Melanie's hiding behind a lawyer. I don't think she has a lawyer. She said she didn't, but if she's smart, she does. So somebody, he who shall not be named, was in this so deep. Keep in mind that Gibbs said he just happened to be parked outside Charles's house. Wait. Oh, all right. Shelly, we got to talk about this somewhere. Email or something. I hadn't heard that before, and that I want to hear about. Um, I do think that he who must not be named was in the Jeep with Alex when Brandon was shot at. That's one of my theories. All right, Brooks hasn't answered me. Wait, why are we deleting feeding it? What's going on? Feeding it is like one of the old school Sofa Squad members. I have to see what. Feeding it, I'm sorry, hang out. We'll figure out what happened. I think that was an accident. Let's see. Where's Brooks? Brooks' channel. There she is. I've heard that, and I've heard that the kids were buried there while Tammy was alive. Yeah, the kids were buried on September 9th and September 23rd. Tammy didn't die till the 19th of October, so yes, they were. But the thought that Chad was in Lori's home the night that both of the kids disappeared, that changed my mind about the whole dynamic of what happened here. And I need to give that some serious thought. Because I know Chad's involved and all that stuff, but I have a hard time thinking, I don't know, it just changes things. It makes it much worse thinking that Chad was there. You know what I mean? Do any of you feel that way? Chad wasn't living with Lori when the kids disappeared. He was there when the police did the witness. See, Felicia, that's what I thought. That was the belief that I was under until this episode. But what they said in this episode was that Chad had moved into Lori's townhome. And he didn't move back to his house until after Lori was arrested in January or February, whenever that was. So the thought that Chad was actually living there was new to me. And I'm like, is that true? So, no, he wasn't there. I didn't think he was before this. I didn't think he was staying in that townhome. But that's what they said in this episode. So I think we need to dig into that a little bit more and see if we can find out absolutely for sure. People who were in Chad's ward and Spanish Ford knew he wasn't ever to be ever a scout leader. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, tablets. Gotta be careful. Yes, feeding it. I don't know if you knew this, but Oprah Winfrey is the darkest spirit on the planet, according to these people. I bet Oprah's watching this like, what? I did what? I mean, can you imagine? Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's crazy. They're crazy. He lived with his wife until she died. Now, see, Robbie, yeah, because it would not make the least bit of sense for Chad to have moved into Lori's apartment while Tammy's still alive. So I need to watch the episode again. It was going kind of quick, and my notes could be off, so I'll watch it again. I could have heard that wrong, but yeah, it was a little confusing. Thank you, and please keep discussing about weird cases like these. I think I will, Leanne. There's a lot of weird cases. I'm also going to have a lot of coverage of the Gannon Stout case from any news that happens from here. All right, I'm not going to go back and go over everything we know so far, but from this point forward, any breaking news in that case, press conferences, court, certainly when it goes to trial, I will be all over that case too. Did she keep the townhome while in Hawaii? It appears that she did. I know that this. I'm not sure if they just kind of glossed over all this stuff and said some things to create a narrative in this episode that weren't exactly 100% on point with the timeline. That's the feeling I'm getting now talking to you guys. It's like, wait, no, Chad couldn't have been living there in September because Tammy was still alive. So I think we're going to have to fact check Dateline. Dateline's fact checkers has not met the Sofa Squad before. So yeah, we're going to have to do some checking on that stuff. Good night, Linda. Have a good healing sleep. Love you now. Talk to you soon. Yes, Michael Wayne Jones Jr. case. That's going to be a big one. for me when that one, if it ever goes to trial. So yeah, there will be other cases coming up as they happen. So yeah, that was the episode, guys. Man, Grammy, yeah, they're gonna have to check Chad's phone. I'm sure they know. They may know Chad's phone pings, and they may have all this information that we haven't heard yet, and it's probably gonna blow our minds. I have a feeling it's gonna get worse before it gets better. April Raymond. Now, see, I kind of like April. What do you think of her, Jody? I kind of like her because when Lori tried to spin her the crazy stuff about she's part of the 144,000, April Raymond was like, yeah, no, thank you, I'm busy. So April Raymond seemed a lot more grounded than some of these other people. She was like, don't want that. So I kind of like April Raymond. Does Melanie Gibb remind you of Sarah Jones? Sort of. There's definitely the element of gaslighting and that kind of stuff. But I think Melanie was on a huge power trip that Sarah Jones was not. So there's a little different affect at play there. Live in coastal southeast North Carolina. The story isn't making the news anywhere. You don't see it on the nationals. It's been a little bit on CNN and stuff. Allie, if you really want to have a news source, go to East Idaho News. They have a YouTube page. They've got a good website. Nate Eaton is the main reporter covering this case from there. And him and Justin Lum from Fox 10 Phoenix, those are the two reporters that we get 99% of our information from. They are so over this case. They are posting everything. Justin Lum is great with the court documents. As soon as there's a filing in this case anywhere, Justin's got it up. So definitely follow Justin Lum. He's at JLumFox10 on Twitter, I believe. And Nate Eaton is Nate Eaton News at Twitter. They both have Facebook page. Justin Lum has his own Facebook group about the case. So yeah, those are the best actual news sources to follow. And Nate, if you're watching this, I still need you to come on that live stream. We got to have that talk, buddy. I'm not letting go of that. Poor Nate. It's like, who is this crazy YouTuber who keeps messaging me? I'd like to know if they figured out why Tammy had pink. I would like to know that too. They have not released her autopsy report. They say that it's ongoing. I'm sure between December and now they have concluded all the testing they want to do, but they are not saying a word about it because they're going to need that to bring more charges. So hopefully we'll get to hear about that soon because I don't think she died of natural causes, and I don't think very many people do, except maybe Summer Cox. Can someone tell me how we know about Melanie G's friend David? I wasn't aware of him. I'm not ready to say how I know about him. Okay, someday I'll be able to. But there are a few mentions of him I've seen around the Reddit board, maybe some of the Facebook groups. It's been known about David Warwick, but not really widely known. When his name showed up in the affidavit, we were doing a live stream about it, and I kind of went on a little rant and started yelling about Melanie having left her husband and kids for this David guy, and I was just like blah 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 blah, and then I was like, oh, I should not have said that. So yeah, I just came kind of flying out of my face before I could censor. So yeah, but it has been known here and there. He is Lori's boyfriend. He's very much involved with the Preparing a People group. He's one of the prepper crazy types, so he's in it to win it with this cult. There's nothing else to call it. It's a cult and he's in it. So that's David. But when you see him in the episode tonight, he comes off as kind of looking like a sensible, intelligent person. But you have to bear in mind, he's just as much into these beliefs as they are. So yeah, you can look sensible all you want. Tammy died naturally like Epstein committed suicide. Yep. You nailed it. That's it. Absolutely nailed it. Oh. Oh, man. Oh, I'm so hot. Ugh. I need an air conditioner. I want to hear the 911 call from Tammy the day she got shot. I don't know if Tammy called 911, Dee. I know that she reported it on her Facebook page. She made a Facebook post about somebody shooting at her with what she said was a paintball gun. But remember that Brandon also said when he was shot at, it sounded like a paintball gun because they were using a silencer. So that could have been the same thing that happened to Tammy. Makes sense. I don't know if she actually called 911, though. I think it was just her Facebook post. Rebel, I would put a fan in the window, but it's 100 degrees outside, so that's not going to help me now. Tammy did file she did file a police report. Okay, can we get a copy of that report? Has anyone seen it? I haven't. I would like to see that. I'm going to make a note to look that up tomorrow. I'll see if we can find that police report. All right, so she did call 911. Or Tammy did call, but perhaps she didn't call 911, but she called the 911. All right, so she did make a report, and the sheriff came out. Okay, good. Good. Yeah, that was 9 or 10 days before she died. I think that was October 9th when she was shot at, and October 19th, she was dead in her bed. So, And Brooks is talking about he who must not be named. But Lori and Melanie used to use him to scare a few people. Yeah, I can see that. Scared me, and he doesn't even know I exist yet, and let's hope he doesn't. Let's keep it that way. Octopus Venom. Yeah, Andrew, some people are saying that there's some octopus venom that is found in the octopi off the coast of Florida that can be highly toxic and not traceable. So, I don't know. That's one of the theories running around out there. Could have been powdered malachite. It could have been cyanide. Cyanide is not normally tested for in a routine tox screen. They wouldn't test for cyanide unless they had reason to. So it could even be that. It could just be an overdose of some kind of prescribed medication. You know, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah. Andrew, go ahead and take care of them. Ugh. Yep, he's handled, Tara. There you go. Learned of David Warwick from Chad's. Yep, that was the first time his name became mainstream in this saga. Was in the arrest affidavit. If you guys are following the subreddit /r Lori Vallow, there's tons of information there, and you'll see his name there mentioned a few times. What kind of paintings did they get while Brandon was getting shot at? What kind of paintings did they get? What? I don't know what you mean. I don't know. Where did the shooter run off to? The car that was seen driving away, Brandon identified as the green Jeep Wrangler that was owned by Charles Vallow and then subsequently given to Tylee to use, and then subsequently used by Alex after Tylee had disappeared. So Brandon believes that it was Alex in Charles's Jeep that shot at him. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, but it's been an hour and a half, and I'm going to try to sleep, but it's so hot in here. I don't know if that's going to happen. But so I hope you can all watch the episode. So if you didn't get to see it and you don't have like DVR and all that stuff to see it on normal TV, I will find a link to this somewhere in the morning. And if you come back to check this video out tomorrow, look for a pinned comment. I will leave a pinned comment, so it'll be right at the top with a link to somewhere you can watch this video. All right. So, because it's really good. And keep the psychology aspect of Melanie in your head while you're watching her, because it's fascinating. Brooke, we're definitely going to have to get together and talk about what you think of this episode. I'm very eager to hear your take on Melanie. So definitely. Good night, guys. Jess, please get a good night's sleep. I love you, honey. I hope you feel better in the morning. Andrew, thank you for doing all the modding tonight. You did great. I really appreciate it. So thank you all for being here. I can't tell you what it means to me to pop on out of nowhere without scheduling it at 10:30 at night and have 200 people in the chat room. That's amazing stuff, because we're all messed up over this case and we need to talk about it. This is crazy. But yeah, that's it. I am going to head to bed, but feel free to reach out to me. You got my Discord, email, Twitter, all that good stuff. I will fix the description of this video in the morning, so it's got all the links. I'm too tired to do that now. You can find all my stuff somewhere else. And thank you again for the super chat. That was amazing. My very first one. I'm so happy. You guys made my night. All right, so I will talk to you tomorrow. Remember, Paul and I are going live tomorrow to talk about this again on his channel. So we'll have links to all that. You can find us during the day. And there you go. I will see you all tomorrow. Have an excellent night and stay safe out there.